88.5, just for you.
Incorporated. Good evening and welcome to King's News Boom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Today is Monday, December 1, 2025, and I'm Shemon here presenting. The Airlines House of Representatives and Senate face continual rumble over draft 2026 budget hearings as Senate conducts separate hearings with government ministries and agencies. National Bureau of Concessions Director General criticizes dormant concessions and non-compliance concessionaires. And Kiazulu demands all concessionaires to meet tax payment obligations and humble labor standard. And also in the news tonight, state prosecutors called for inclusion of Monserrado County District 12 Representative Jerry Yobo in Capitol building arson case, claimed new findings linked Representative Yobo to destruction of the Capitol building. Away from home, left-wing Cameroonian opposition figure Aneshin Akenin has died in detention 5 weeks after he was arrested, his lawyers and party have announced. Gunmen have abducted at least 20 people, including a pastor, and the new bride in two separate attacks and the latest Nigerian kidnappings. These plus the news bulletin, voices of those making the news at our package. We'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back. At this juncture, we join Stephen Compton with the news bulletin.
Despite concerns raised by the House of Representatives, the Liberian Senate is continuing its separate budget hearing for the draft 2026 national budget with government ministries and agencies. Following the Senate's separate hearings, severe tension have breathed within the national legislature as members of the House of Representatives accuse the Senate of overlapping its constitutional authority by conducting separate budget hearings. Members of the House of Representatives, including Monserrado County District 14 lawmaker Michael Thomas, have since expressed dissatisfaction in the Senate's action. Several government agencies, including state-owned enterprises, have already appeared for budget hearings with Senate and have reportedly refused to appear during the House's revenue hearings. On Monday, December 1, the Senate Committee on Ways, Means, Finance, and Budget had hearings with the Liberia Petroleum Refinery Company, National Road Funds, Ministries of Internal Affairs, Commerce, National Fire Service, among others, something many believed said spiked depot tension between both houses. However, the House of Representatives has since announced its Committee on Ways, Means, and Finance in collaboration with the Committee on Public Account and Expenditure will commence hearings on the expenditure component of the 2026 draft national budget on Tuesday, December 2. The National Bureau of Concession Director General Henson Kiazulu has vowed to review all concession agreements to ensure compliance with tax and labor laws. Kiazulu, who got inducted into office on September 28, said he will ensure every concession meets its obligation, including paying taxes, honoring labor standards, and contributing to the welfare of Liberians. He emphasized that failed to uphold concession agreements will be held accountable for the criticizing dormant concession. The NBC Director General said, among several other things, his leadership will strongly address dormant concession, adding that two mining agreements have remained inactive for years with no activity, no job, and no rewards. According to him, his first act as Director General will be to contact or concessionaires directly to understand why they have failed to act and to ensure that all back tax, surface rentals, and other obligations are brought current. He added that concessions that remain dormant without justification will be subject to review and, where necessary, the National Bureau of Concession Director General at the same time called on staffers of the institution to embrace structural reform that will be introduced under his administration for the good of the institution. The DG, meanwhile, promised priorities that to prioritize the welfare of the workforce for effective and time discharge of duty that will enable the NBC yield its needed results. State prosecutors in the ongoing capital Hassan trial have filed a motion to amend the indictment to include Montserrat County District 12 Representative Jerry Yokbo as a co-defendant in the high-profile case. The state prosecutors, citing Article 14, Subchapter 14.7 of the Criminal Procedure Law of Liberia, argue that the amendment is both lawful and necessary. They pointed out that they describe as known findings allegedly linking the Montserrat County District 12 lawmaker to the crime. The Capitol building arson case, which began several months ago, has already attracted widespread public attention as allegations of coordinated action for the destruction of the public property remain a major concern. However, defense lawyers have objected the motion, terming it illegally framed and procedurally weak. The defense emphasized that Representative Jerry Yokbo was never named in the original indictment, nor was he mentioned during the preliminary investigations. They further resisted that prosecutors' attempt to implicate a certain legislator without clear evidence appears politically motivated. Criminal Court Judge Roosevelt Wade is expected to rule on the motion as the trial continues, as Representative Jerry Yokbo has yet to formally been included in the indictment. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with development partners, has officially launched the national initiative for triple elimination of HIV, syphilis, and hepatitis B among pregnant women across the country. They launched a fun part of activities marking the War Its Day celebration brought together government officials, international partners, and health stakeholders committed to strengthening resilient, inclusive, and sustainable national response to HIV and related public health challenges. Delivering a special statement on behalf of Vice President Jeremiah Cohn, Minister of Health Dr. Louis Porto said the initiative underscores the government's delegation to mobilizing domestic support and transforming strategies for responding to HIV. According to Dr. Porto, the introduction of the triple elimination strategy reflects Liberia's commitment to reinforcing accountability and build sustainable approaches within the national health system. She highlighted the progress made in the fight against HIV is attributed to effective policy and strong community-led initiatives. The health minister further disclosed that more than 81% of people living with HIV in Liberia are aware of their status, with many receiving appropriate treatments. Also speaking at the event, Finance and Development Planning Minister Augustin Gafuan commended the Ministry of Health for what he described as an unprecedented commitment to safeguarding the nation's health sector, reaffirmed the government's continued support for strengthening healthcare delivery in Liberia. Grand Croix County Senator Nimini Batikwa has made a troubling revelation regarding President Joseph Boycott's possible stance against all deputies at government ministry and agencies. The Senate Committee on Investment and Concession Chair, who spoke during the formal induction of Hansen Castle, National Bureau of Concession Director General, said President Joseph Boyka has advised to take immediate action against any deputy of government institution who will confess or undermine their boss. According to him, the president's action will be to immediately remove from government and deputy who will be not cooperative with their bosses. Senator Batty Quiet convey to ministries and agencies deputy heads has since spiked concerns in the public as several persons describe the act and lack of accountability. Many persons believed recent dismays of deputy heads at some government institution premises on what has been disclosed by the Grand Crew County Senator. Instead, with more developments, Coalition for Democratic Change, former Monserrato County District 12 Representative Kennedy Prince Kriplat is calling for government urgent intervention in recent anti-drug raids in Stephen Tolbert community. According to him, the raid carried out by state security personnel reportedly resulted in the deaths of 5 individuals in the community. In a communication to the Ministry of Justice, the former CDC Representative Kennedy cited a witness account claiming that live bodies were discharged during the joint security operation, leading to multiple injuries and reported death. The former Representative Kennedy condemned the alleged actions, emphasizing that Liberian law and international human rights standard or individuals suspected of criminal activity, including drug-related offenses, are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. While speaking to King's FM Monday, replied warned that the reported incident, if not addressed promptly, could expose the country to accusation of extrajudicial conduct against the ocean. The Ministry of Justice to commission an impartial investigation into the matter. Royal Communications Incorporated General Manager Antonin Abraham Wen has underscored the urgent need for service-driven leadership across Liberia's governing system. Serving as guest speaker at the fourth graduation and commencement ceremony of the Yatta Foundation in Johnsonville, Antonin Wen urged the graduate to cultivate valued and attitude that are acceptable and beneficiary to the society. He described academic certificates as a driver lesson, noting that they are used to empower individuals navigate societal responsibility. The journalist lawyer emphasized that Liberia continues to face significant leadership challenges calling on students and other citizens to adopt a mindset rooted in service and responsibility in order to positively transform the country's governance structures. He further encouraged the graduates to embrace self resilience and self actualization, stressing that they are roadmaps geared towards academic and professional achievements. Liberians have expressed growing dissatisfaction over the continuing celebration of the birthday of former President William V.S. Tubman as a national holiday. Those who spoke to King's Ethan say the observance no longer aligns with the country's current realities. They argue that Liberia should not continue celebrating a past leader whom they believe made little positive impact on the nation, further pointing to several national challenges, including poor road network on development, among other things. The citizens say it is difficult to justify honoring such a holiday when the country is still battling on a development. The Liberia National Police and the Civilian Police have launched advance critical step towards enhancing regional security cooperation. The launch reaffirms both countries' the police forces joint commitment to affront terrorism, organized crime, and across the both country. Bray remarks Monday at the Liberia National Police headquarters in Monrovia, Inspector General of Police Gregory Coburn lauded the civilian police delegation led by its assistant Inspector General of Police. According to Common, the arrival of the delegation followed his recent visit and engagement with the civilian president and the Inspector General of Civilian Police aimed at strengthening regional security cooperation. And the University of Liberia campus-based Student Unification Party has strongly criticized the President Joseph Boycott administration for what it described as bad governance. So accused the government of wastefully carrying out corruption, economic mismanagement, and failed to deliver basic services for the ordinary citizen. Addressing a press conference Monday, Sub Party propaganda chair Emmanuel Pollard argued that the government failed to fight corruption and negatively impacted the country and have resulted to dozens of Liberians being unable to afford their daily needs. The news bulletin is back to you.
Still in contact with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. A reminder you listen to King's Newsroom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, in our one word. Stories we following tonight: House of Representatives and Senate face continual rumble over draft 2026 budget hearings as Senate conducts separate hearings with government ministries and agencies. National Bureau of Concessions Director General criticizes dormant concessions and non-compliance concessionaires. Henson Kiazulu demands all concessionaires to meet tax payment obligations and harbor labor standard. And also in the news tonight, state prosecutors called for inclusion of Monserrado County District 12 Representative Jerry Yobo in Capitol building arson case. Claimed new findings linked Representative Yobo to destruction of the Capitol building. Away from home, left-wing Cameroonian opposition figure Anisen Akanin has died in detention 5 days or 5 weeks after he was arrested, his lawyers and party have announced. We'll take a break to be back with voices of the newsmakers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. Despite concerns raised by the House of Representatives, the Liberian Senate is continuing its separate Budget hearings for the draft 2026 national budget with government ministries and agencies. Following the Senate separate hearings, severe tension have brewed within the national legislature as members of the House of Representatives accuse the Senate of overstepping its constitutional authority by conducting separate budget hearings. Members of the House of Representatives, including Monserrado County District 14 lawmaker Michael Thomas, have since expressed dissatisfaction in the Senate action. Here's a highlight of the Senate confirmation earlier on today.
Five seven. And the voice in the local document is 20,507. So meaning in 2024, our projection, we see our projection in terms of the 300,000 finance projected, and we proceed that another 300,000 we have excess. So based on that, we go to 2026 revenue 2025. 2025 revenue. So if you look at our revenue generated in 2025 was 306, our annual target 306,250. And actually we generated 136,559. In the previous, if you look do the calculation, the previous is 160 now. So I will expand on that because in fire service, we post fees in terms of doing inspection, vehicle inspection, preventive inspection, and fire certificate fees. But if you look at this 1 year, the reason why we drop, because we always collaborate with the Ministry of Transport and the police to carry on inspection. But we all know why some flow between the broad transport management and the transport. So for this year's fire service did not participate in the joint inspection. So based on that, if you look at the projection, fire service drop immediately because all of our fees that we have to do with the vehicle inspection. So if you look at the document there, due to 300,000, we're only able to release 136,000 because we're not part of the joint inspection because of the transport and police to broad transport management. So this is why you see fire service drop gradually. So I will turn the microphone to our fire prevention with the laboratory.
Highlight at the Liberian Senate during hearings with the Liberia National Fire Service. Meanwhile, earlier today, the Senate Committee on Waste, Means, Finance and Budget held hearings with the Liberia Petroleum Refining Company, National Road Funds, Ministry of Internal Affairs, Commerce, National Fire Service, among many others. The National Bureau of Concessions Director General Hansen Kiazulu has vowed to review all concession agreements to ensure compliance with tax and labor laws. Kiazulu, who got inducted into office on November 28, said he will ensure every concessionaire meets its obligations, including paying taxes, harboring labor standards, and contributing to the welfare of Liberians. He emphasized that concessionaires that fail to uphold concession agreements will be held accountable, further criticizing dormant concessions.
A series of priorities, including those I presented to the Senate during my confirmation. The first 100 days will be to review all concession agreements for compliance with tax and our labor laws. Every concessionaire must meet its obligation, including paying taxes, honoring labor standards, and contributing to the welfare of our people based on the MDA. We also foster accountability and trust between the government and the investors and the citizens of the affected communities. Second, we will continue to encourage the investor, which are the concessionaire, to create more jobs for our striving populations. There, we address the dormant concessions. Too many agreements have remained inactive for years with no activities, no job, no revenue. This is unacceptable. Dormancy undermine our economy and deprive our citizens of opportunities. My first act as Director General will be to contact these concessionaires directly to understand why they have failed to act and to ensure that all bike taxes, surface rental, and other obligations are brought current. Concessions that remain dormant without justification, I will be recommending to the President of the Republic of Liberia and to the legislature to de-rectify those concessionaires.
The National Bureau of Concessions Director General at the same time called on staffers of the institution to embrace structural reform that will be introduced under his administration for the good of the institution.
Everything in life is patient. I say I've become a patient person for almost 1 year, 10 months. This government is my government. I fought in every way to see that President Baka is a president. But I have to wait for some time, more than a year and a half. So it's issue of patience. I will appeal to you guys to have patience with the new leadership mechanism and bringing. As time goes by, even your work condition will change positively. We build capacity. We gave more incentives to deliver on the arrest agenda. But you should have the ability to stand the tension at the workplace. You should also have it at the back of your mind and bring in structural reform within the National Bureau of Concessions. If you can't embrace change, then you have to change and go. You have to embrace change. And I can tell you, I will work with my two deputies to seek your well-being and welfare. I will introduce an insurance scheme. I will introduce a consultation system.
Director General of the National Bureau of Concessions, Henson Kiazuru. The government of Liberia, through the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with development partners, has officially launched the National Initiative for the Triple Elimination of HIV, Syphilis, and Hepatitis B among pregnant women across the country. The launch formed part of activities marking World AIDS Day celebration and brought together government officials, international partners, and health stakeholders committed to strengthening a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable national response to HIV and related public health challenges. Delivering a special statement on behalf of Vice President Jeremiah Cohn, Minister of Health Dr. Louis Kpoto said the initiative underscores the government's dedication to mobilizing domestic support and transforming strategies for responding to HIV.
I stand before you today with a deep sense of responsibility, gratitude, and national purpose. World AIDS Day is not merely a symbolic observance, it is a solemn moment when the world pauses to reflect on progress achieved, challenges remaining, and the responsibilities that demand collective leadership. Since 1988, World AIDS Day has united nations in a remembrance, solidarity, and action. It has created a global platform to honor the millions we have lost, support those living with HIV, and recommit ourselves to building resilient health system that protect every life. This year, a global team overcoming disruption, transforming the AIDS response, calls for resilience and innovation. At the national level, our team mobilizing domestic support, transforming the AIDS response, reflects Liberia's determination to strengthen ownership, deepen.
Also speaking, Minister of Finance and Development Planning Augustin Gafuan commended the Ministry of Health for what he described as an unprecedented commitment to safeguarding the nation's health sector and reaffirmed the government's continued support for strengthening healthcare delivery system.
We celebrate the fact that efforts, resources, and dedication have been put in this fight to the extent that AIDS is no longer a death sentence. And I remember in the past, when you talk about someone who had HIV at a program, and everybody would look red and pity when the person was coming up. But I didn't see that here when the representative came, to speak on behalf of those affected. It tells you the effort and how we've transformed. And let me also celebrate somebody. Everyone has been in this effort, but you've been in this country. Dr. Barbara Brilliant and others. We know that when you talk about the fight, in their little ways, they've been doing things for ages. So celebrate all of you.
Finance Minister Augustin Gafuan. Ella, you heard the voice of Minister of Health, Dr. Louis Boto. A reminder, you're listening to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories we follow in tonight. House of Representatives and Senate face continual rumble over draft 2026 budget hearings as Senate conducts separate hearings with government ministries and agencies. National Bureau of Concessions Director General criticizes dormant concessions and non-compliance concessionaires. Henson Kiazulu demands all concessionaires to meet tax payment obligations and humble labor standard. State prosecutors called for inclusion of Monserrado County District 12 Representative Yeri Yokbo in Capitol building as on case claimed new findings linked Representative Yokbo to destruction of the Capitol building. Away from home, left-wing Cameroonian opposition figure Ernestine Akinin has died in detention 5 weeks after he was arrested, his lawyers and party have announced. Gunmen have adopted at least 20 people, including a pastor and a new bride, in 2 separate attacks in the latest Nigerian kidnappings. We'll take a break to be back with more voices, including our foreign news. Welcome back and thanks for being there. Grangro County Senator nominee Batikwa has made a troubling revelation regarding President Joseph Boakai's possible stance against all deputies at government ministries and agencies. The Senate Committee on Investment and Construction Chairman, who spoke during a formal induction of Henson Kiazulu, National Bureau of Concession Director General, said President Boakai has been advised to take immediate action against any deputy of government institution who will cause confusion or undermine their boss. According to him, the president's action will be to immediately remove from government deputy who will be non-cooperative to their boss.
Because henceforth, we advise the president, people who are honor their bosses, that got confusion about the bosses, they will move, not the boss moving. Unless you serve, don't expect to be served. I urge the 2 deputies and all staff of the agency to please give our Kazulu the support. Again, please work with your boss so that all of us can work together and ensure that the task of this agency is performed to the satisfaction of the government. Congratulations.
Grangro County Senator nominee Batikwa Coalition for Democratic Change former Monserrado County District 12 Representative candidate Prince Kripla is calling for government urgent intervention in recent anti-drug raid in Stephen Tobo community. According to him, the raid carried out by state security personnel reportedly resulted in the deaths of 5 individuals in the community. Kripla, in a communication to the Ministry of Justice on Monday, cited eyewitness account claiming that live bullets were discharged during the joint security operation, leading to multiple injuries and reported deaths. Speaking to King's FM Monday, Kripla warned that the reported incident, if not addressed promptly, could expose the country to accusations of extrajudicial killings, urging the Ministry of Justice to commission an impartial investigation into the matter.
I have received pretty close to 50 calls from both within Stephen Tobo Estate and other communities in District Number 12. And in fact, nationally, there are a couple of people who also call me a weekend. A couple of days ago, the Liberal Drugs Enforcement Agency, along with some members of the Liberal National Police, led by a guy famously known as T. Swain. T. Swain is a ranking member of the Liberal National Police. They raided a popular place in the Stephen Tobo Estate that a lot of old and young folks gather. Usually, allegedly, some people call it, ghetto, but they themselves don't refer to it as a ghetto. They see it as a place that people gather for different purposes that I may not know in detail, right? But they call the place Pottery. It's just very close to the Stephen Tobo Estate, the public school there in Stephen Tobo Estate, Ghana'sville Special Project. So, according to all of the eyewitnesses and people who have reached out to me, the police went on LDA went on a raid. They barricaded the 3 points of exit lane. I mean, from the left, the right, and ahead. They barricaded it and they were firing live bullets while proceeding to the pottery.
Prince Kripla is a former representative candidate of Monserrado County District 12. Royal Communications Incorporation General Manager Anthony Abraham Wayon has underscored the urgent need for service-driven leadership across Liberia's governance system, serving as guest speaker at the 4th graduation and commencement ceremony of the Yatta Foundation, Johnsonville. Anthony Wayon urged the graduates to cultivate values and attitudes that are acceptable and beneficial to the larger society.
I'm very happy to be here today to speak to my former self because I sat in the position they set me today as a student myself. I graduated, so I've come back to speak to myself, my former self, to encourage us that out there is not easy. I've just come privileged to just speak with you on the topic service-driven leadership and not profit-making leadership. You know, many times our students are graduating today, they are celebrating, they are happy, they are going to be getting their certificates. The certificate they are going to receive today is going to serve as a driver license, without which you cannot drive. But it is also possible. Other people don't go to driving school, but they can have a driver license. It is also possible that other people don't know how to drive, but yet they can have a driver license. So it is equally possible that we all will pass through the walls of this institution and getting a driver license. The license does not indicate that indeed you will never make accident. It all falls on your behavior in the traffic. You may have a license, you may go to the best professional school. It does not mean you will not make accident.
Royal Communications Incorporated General Manager Anthony Abraham Gosson Winyov, that speaking where he served as keynote speaker at the 4th graduation and commencement ceremony of the Yatta Foundation in Johnsonville. University of Liberia campus-based student Unification Party has strongly criticized the Boakai Cone administration for why it describes as bad governance. SUB accused the government of willfully carrying out corruption, economic mismanagement, and failed to deliver basic services for the ordinary citizens. Addressing a press conference Monday, SUP propaganda chair Emmanuel Poli argued that the government failure to fight corruption has negatively impacted the country and have resulted to dozens of Liberians being unable to afford their daily needs. We'll bring you that except in our subsequent newscast. The Liberia National Police and the Sierra Leone Police have launched advanced a critical step toward enhancing regional security cooperation. The launch reaffirms both countries' police forces' joint commitment to confront terrorism, organized crime, and cross-border threats impacting the Mano River Union and the wider West African sub-region. In brief remarks Monday at the Liberia National Police headquarters, Inspector General of the Liberia National Police, Gregory Common, lauded the Sierra Police delegation led by Assistant Inspector General of Police.
We're known for extreme democracy in this our desire that this cooperation will yield its intended purposes. We are faced with an ongoing threat to the entire efforts sub-region that has to do with the expansion beyond the Chad region or
Also speaking, the Assistant Inspector General of Police of Sierra Leone, Dr. John Sensi, expressed heartfelt appreciation for Liberia's hospitality and the spirit of collaboration.
I'm the Executive Management Board. We are here this morning to comply with what you agreed on in Sierra Leone. We are so happy to be in Monrovia. I do believe that it was not a mistake for the visit you paid in Freetown. We are here to reaffirm our commitment for the joint border patrols, to affirm our commitment in terms of cross-border management.
Liberians have expressed dissatisfaction over the continued celebration of the birthday of former President William V.S. Tubman as a national holiday. Those who spoke to King's FM say the observance no longer aligns with the country's current realities. They argue that Liberia should not continue celebrating a past leader whom they believe made little positive impact on the nation, further cautioning or pointing to several national challenges, including poor road networks.
Nothing for the country. And then my mom will tell that. 27 years, you still something about paved road or bridge, saving water. And I don't say that, still something about at this time. So once we celebrate, I got a new birthday. And you start in the school. I got no regrets. I have no regret with issue by this. And you mama, today is that an honorary day for my work. So be open. What's the use? 27 years, what's the use? One minute I'm going to get from the celebration of the Bible. I don't celebrate. I recommend directly to the government until the right birthday. President William V. Tubman's birthday shouldn't be celebrated because they didn't do nothing.
The president of the Liberia National Bar Association, Councilor Bono Vama, has announced that preparations are on the way for the association's much anticipated 2025 annual national convention scheduled for December 4 to 7 of this year in Ganta, Nimba County. Speaking at a press conference in Monrovia, Councilor Vama described the gathering as a defining moment for Liberia's legal community and a better rule of law settled as the nation continues working to restore public trust in its justice system.
The Liberia National Bar Association, LNBA, is pleased to officially announce the convening of its 2025 annual convention in Ganta City, Nimba County. The convention is scheduled to take place from December 4 to 7, 2025 at the Wo Gabi Tapia Intellectual Hall, Peace Empire Hotel in Ganta. The official opening is slated for Friday, December 5, 2025 at 10 a.m. centered on the theme strengthening the rule of law, the lawyer's role in restoring public trust. The proceedings will be led by the Humble Seven, the national president of the bar, as legal professionals in addressing critical issues of justice, delivery, and public confidence. The LMBA will also use this convention to honor high-performing judges in a bid to recognize the number of cases these judges have disposed of.
Liberia National Bar Association President Councilor Bono Vama Away from home, left-wing Cameroonian opposition figure Ernestine Akinin has died in detention 5 weeks after he was arrested, his lawyers and party have announced. Akinin, 74, was among the leaders of an opposition coalition who endorsed as her chairwoman Bakari in October's presidential election. Makari said he was the rightful winner of the pool, officially won by 92-year-old incumbent Paul Biya. No official cause of Akanin's death has been announced. His party has accused the authorities of denying him access to his medication, a charge the government has denied. And gunmen have adopted at least 20 people, including a pastor and a new bride, in two separate attacks in the latest Nigerian kidnappings. Attackers stormed the newly established cherubim in the church on Sunday in the central Kogi State, firing shots and forcing congregants to flee in panic. They seized the pastor, his wife, and several worshippers. He another raid the night before the northern Sokoto State. The bride, or a bride and her bridesmaid, were among those kidnapped. A baby, the baby's mother, and another woman were also taken. The AFP news agency reports. Schools and places of worship have increasingly been targeted in the latest wave of attacks in North and Central Nigeria. Well, on that note, that's how we come to the end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. House of Representatives and Senate face continuing rumbled over draft 2026 budget hearings as Senate conducts separate hearings with government ministries and agencies. National Bureau of Concession Director General criticizes dormant concessions and non-compliance concessionaires. Henson Kia Zulu demands all concessionaires to meet tax payment obligations and harbor labor standard. You also heard in the news state prosecutors call for inclusion of Monserrado County District 12 Representative Jerry Yogbo in Capitol building arson case, claimed new findings linked Representative Yogbo to destruction of the Capitol building. Away from home, left-wing Cameroonian opposition figure Ernestine Akinin has died in detention 5 weeks after he was arrested, his lawyers and party have announced. Gunmen have abducted at least 20 people, including a pastor and a new bride, in two separate attacks in the latest Nigerian kidnappings. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped in making this edition of King's Newsroom a success. Stephen Compton brought you the news bulletin. Marvin Vaz had a control and handled the technical aspect of this edition. Kwame Brown was behind the camera and brought to the visual aspect of this edition. On behalf of the team, I'm Shemon Dale. I present it. Thanks for listening and watching.